Welcome to Sexy Sunday, where we analyse sex scenes from films and TV shows, discuss what they tell us about the story, the characters, and more importantly, whether they're hot or not. I'm Jessica.
I'm Anushka.
And this is Sexy Sunday.
So this week is a bit different because I'm starting it off. And I'm so excited.
Such a lame noise that came out of my throat.
So this week's a bit different because it is spooky month and we're doing sex scenes from horror movies. So I've chosen 5 horror movies. It was going to be a few more, but decided that was enough. And the sex... I've also defined that they have to be sex scenes and not rape scenes because rape is not sex. And I've only sent Anushka the sex scenes and tried to cut out the horror elements,
which I appreciate greatly,
or describe what's happening in the scene to be like, don't worry, there's nothing scary that happens. So my idea is to kind of go in order of the ones that I sent to you. Cool. So with the first one...
wait, before we start,
yes,
can I just say my favorite thing in all of those scenes, because you were filming your computer screen, is that you were a full protagonist in them. Like, it was just like people having sex in your face. And I loved it.
The whole time I was just like, why did you see my reflection in the screen? I felt so creepy.
Yeah, that was really my favorite part of it. It really added to the creepy element of it, just like your eyes, like staring at them. It was great.
Oh dear.
So why could I not know the title of the first film? You sent it to me and you were like, you can't know the title yet.
Because I feel like when I tell you the title, you might know what the movie is. And I think for the listeners, maybe you take your headphones out so I can tell the listeners.
Yes.
So it's not like me being like, yeah. It's not so much of a surprise. Okay.
All right.
So take your headphones out. So for the listeners, this movie is Hostel.
I'm back.
So what did you think of the sex scenes that I sent you?
Okay, so you want all of my thoughts that I wrote down?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so my first note is the main guy, I think he's called Josh. Is he?
So the blonde one.
Yeah. Is he called Josh?
Oh
no, why am I asking you? Of course you don't know his name. Anyway, I assume he's the main character because I assume he's like the relatable one. Like he's kind of nerdy, bit insecure. He wants to be a writer, from what I gathered from the scene you sent me where they're talking. He just got dumped by his girlfriend, I think.
Yeah.
He's struggling to move on. And he's very nice and shy. So I thought the sex worker, because they go to like some kind of red light district kind of thing, I thought she was going to kill him, but I assume she's not, because that scene seems to be before he sleeps with Natalia.
Yeah.
Does he sleep with her?
No.
No.
He freaks out. And
yeah, that's what I thought. And when he's walking in that corridor and he sees all the shadows of like people having sex, I was fully expecting one of them to be like a girl killing a guy, and you just see it in the shadows. Is that a thing that you cut out or not at all?
No, there's nothing.
Okay.
It was just like, it wasn't a sex scene. It was just more to kind of give you more context.
Yeah, fair enough.
The characters.
So are the girls, like Natalia and her friends, killing the boys?
They're not killing them, but they are kind of luring them in. Yeah, because do you notice that like when they're having sex,
looking at each
like,
other? Yeah,
they
I
kind
did
of
notice
look at
that. That's
each
why I
other.
thought they were killing them.
I also think it's really interesting that they are on top, because I think it really, like, as I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is interesting foreshadowing, because it's them kind of in control, whilst, like being in control in the sex, but also they're the ones that kind of lure them in, like with their sexuality. And then shortly after, gore ensues. Based on the sex scenes that you've seen, how horrific or how gory do you think this movie is?
I think probably very gory, because the sex was very explicit, so I'm just gonna assume that the more explicit the sex is, the gorier it is, because they've already fucked all their ratings anyway. So it's like probably no one under 18 can see this film already, so they're probably embracing it.
Yep. You're right. So I'm gonna tell you now. The movie is Hostel.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Oh, have you not?
No.
Okay. So it was directed by Eli Roth, and
I love that you're totally overestimating my knowledge of horror.
I didn't know. I was like, because it's a. After I finished watching this movie the first time, I've only ever seen this movie once the whole way through. I was shaking afterwards.
Right. I'll tell you all the horror films I know. Scream. Anything else I might have vaguely heard of.
American Psycho.
That's
American
not
Psycho.
horror, is it? I don't think it counts as horror, but fair enough.
Depending. But
So
yeah, okay,
tell me
fair
about that film.
So, it's very squeamish. Like, there's a scene where there's a drill goes into a girl's eye.
Ew.
You see it.
Oh, I don't like that.
You see it all.
No.
And they don't hold back on the gore at all. And it, like, I remember when I first watched it, and the first half hour of this film is pretty much like what you saw, pure porn. And I was like, this movie is meant to be really horrific. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is horrible. This is awful. But who do you think dies? In what order, and who do you think survives?
My instincts, or more like what I feel like is obvious, is the nice guy dying first, but because it seems obvious, I'm gonna say that he probably doesn't die first.
The kind of tag along friend is insinuate, because he goes missing, so it's insinuated that he dies first, but the first death that you see is the nice guy.
It's the nice guy. Interesting.
And it's horrible, because they cut his Achilles tendon, and then he stands up, and you see it, and it's burned into my brain. Even though I saw this movie like maybe 10-15 years ago.
No,
yes.
Not for me.
Yeah.
Who I think survives? Like the friend who's really like annoying in the spa. Does he survive?
Oh wait,
that's annoying.
No. Which one? The foreign one.
The one who's like trying to flirt, like can he speak a different language?
The one who has the tattoo on his bum.
Oh yes, yeah. Does he survive?
No.
Ah, that's good.
It's the American friend who survives.
Okay. I didn't think the sex was particularly hot, but that might have just been because I was like, someone's gonna die, I can tell. I can tell because Jess told me. But one thing that I did think is, and I particularly thought it looking at the sex scenes in this film, and I think it makes sense because you said it was shot in 2005, right? Or came out in 2005. Yeah. Early 2000s films, horror films, apart from the horror, have such an American comedy that I would love vibe. So like I remember starting to watch this film and I didn't know it was horror, and it was like, I can't remember what it was at all. It was probably like a super small budget, like no one's ever heard of it film, but it was basically a 16-year-old girl moves to like a small town. She's the new girl. She fancies the quarterback, but the cheerleader is dating him and she hates her. Like, it's so the kind of film I used to watch when I was like 15 and I would have loved it. But then the sex scenes are way more graphic than those kind of films would have been, so I was like, this is great. But then like everyone dies and I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I find it really interesting. It's just got exactly that vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you take away the super graphic sex and the horror, this could literally be a scene of American Pie.
100%. It's like Euro Trip.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 100% that. Like, the first half of the film is just like a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they've got all the same language, but then they take it way further. Do you find the sex scenes hot?
Since I've watched the movie, I didn't, because I knew what was going to happen to the characters. But I think for like especially the scene where they're having sex with the girls in the room, I think they did I think it is hot objectively because the way, I don't know, the way the girls kind of move, but it's also not because it's kind of, is it slow motion and there's music?
Yeah, it's definitely very stylized.
Yes. But it wasn't for me because I knew what was going to happen to those characters, and I was like, I know what happens next. Next one on the list is Midsummer, which is done 2019 and directed by Ari Aster. There is a total of 1 sex scene.
What a sex scene.
What do you think of this sex scene?
I was literally like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the entire time I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? I mean, I've heard enough about Midsummer to know that this is just normal for the film.
Yeah.
But
so you have heard of another horror?
I have, yes, that's true. So I assume that this is some kind of like cult activity to impregnate the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is Florence Pugh that guy's girlfriend?
Yes.
So they're dating?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So is that why she's like freaking out when she sees it?
Yeah.
Is he on drugs? Because he looked very odd and a bit spooked and a bit on drugs.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
on
okay,
drugs.
that makes sense. And is it the girl's mother who pretends to be on the phone with her hand and starts singing a song? Or is it just a random old lady?
Because it's like very community focused. I'm not sure if it's at her actual mum.
But that was quite an intense thing to do. And I love that when she does it, the guy seems to be like picking up pace. It's great.
Yeah. Or he just like looks up and he's like, what the fuck? But then continues going.
What really made me laugh is I was looking at the sex scene thinking like, I mean, obviously this is weird as fuck, but also the sex is kind of slow and boring, like it doesn't look that good. And just when I thought that, one of the really creepy old women goes behind him and starts like making him go faster, and I was like, I mean, at least we had the same thought. At least we're on the same like wavelengths.
Exactly. I completely forgot about that. I don't know if you heard me when I was filming, just like laughing because I completely forgot about that.
So yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah, and it's also, I feel like it fits so well into like how the movie builds to a crescendo, because they also, when Florence walks in on him, the other girls go to like comfort her, and then she starts screaming, and they start screaming with her.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
And that was really intense. Like the older women, like what do you call it? Not reciprocating, but like mimicking the girl like coming, and then like the other girls mimicking Florence Pugh's panic attack or whatever. It was really, I did not like it. But it was very, I just love how from the first shot, because obviously I watched them all in a row because you send them all to me in one go.
Yeah.
I love how the production value of Midsummer, as soon as you start watching it after the production value of the one before, is just like, this is a film that you watch in the cinema. Like, this is a proper film.
It's the most beautiful film.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It is like, if you could be a fan of horror,
it's such a shame
because it's filmed at like the midnight sun, so there's no darkness, and obviously horror movies, you expect them to be dark and dingy and scary, but it's just, this whole film is so beautiful, and like the costumes are beautiful, the production design is beautiful, and then it's juxtaposed by this like really creepy, scary like community.
Yeah, it annoys me that I know I wouldn't enjoy it because it's gonna scare me way too much, but it's so annoying because this is exactly the kind of contrast that I love. And I mean, every single time I'm making mood boards for whatever film I want to shoot, my Pinterest is always full of like shots from Midsummer, and I'm like, this is so not the vibe I'm going for, but visually this is so the vibe I'm going for.
Oh, it's so funny because
I love this. Yeah, sorry.
Visually it's like a gorgeous film, but I feel like it's unlike other horrors where it's like you get that scare because it's like something gory and horrible is happening on screen. It's sort of that insidious creepy that kind of gets under your skin, because it's
that's
like
worse, isn't it?
Exactly. And because you're watching something that's so beautiful, and there's also like one of my favorite shots ever in a movie is in this movie where they're like driving to the community and they're driving underneath this banner, and the camera goes from like underneath, or no, it goes from on top to like underneath as they cross over the banner to be like entering another world. It's like one of my favorite shots. I'm just like,
that sounds
oh,
really cool.
so clever.
That sounds really cool. But yeah, I love that thing you're saying about it's really creepy, but it's not what you expect of a horror film where it's all dark and whatever. Like that's why I love The Virgin Suicides by Sofia Coppola so much, because it's really dreamy and it's like, oh, it's actually a super like grim topic, but it doesn't feel like you're watching a grim film when you're watching it. I think that's just my favorite kind of juxtaposition of like not going for the expected, like it's raining because she's sad.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, oh, here's a jump scare.
Yeah, so overall I did not find this scene hot. Shockingly.
Did you not?
I don't know if it was because the sex looked rubbish. I don't know if it was the old lady singing. I don't know.
Or all the naked women in a circle.
No, that I liked.
And how do you think either Florence Pugh or the guy survive?
No. Florence Pugh maybe. I'd say Florence Pugh might survive. I don't think the guy survives.
You are correct.
Hey.
I think he gets paralyzed, and then like there's another guy that's been like flayed outwards, and they get put in this he gets put in the bear, and then it gets put in this tent, and the tent gets set alight while he's still alive,
The
but
tent
paralyzed.
gets cellulite. What?
Set alight.
Oh, set alight, as in on fire.
Yes, the
I see.
tent, an inanimate object, gets cellulite. Yes, Anushka.
Yeah, I was very confused.
And yeah, it's like the deaths are quite horrendous.
Yeah, they seem it. I mean, again, if we go through my personal rating of is the sex really out there, then that probably means the deaths are really out there. I'd say this was fairly out there. Like, I'm not surprised that the deaths are not only very visual and gory, but also weird.
Yes. Yeah, and I think the movie also did a really good job of like, because they take magic mushrooms quite a bit during this. It does and he's pretty much taken like magic mushrooms, like he's high, and they do a really good job of like actually showing that. Like I feel like with a lot of movies, it's like, oh yeah, they're on drugs, but this it's like it actually has the similar kind of visuals. So the whole film kind of puts you off kilter from like quite near the beginning.
Interesting.
All right, on to our next one. I think the next one I sent you, was it Tormented? Was that the one?
No, it was X.
It was X. All right. So this was a movie made in 2022, directed by Ty West. And I think it has 4 or 5 sex scenes. Considering I sent these to you, I didn't count them. I had one job, and I failed.
It's fine.
Yeah. But it was really interesting that when I sent these to you, and then you were like, oh, this is a movie that I actually really wanted to see.
Yeah, it was. It's because, so I have a huge crush on Kid Cudi. And I have a normal-sized crush on Brittany Snow. So
the fact that they have sex in this.
Well, exactly. I was like, there's a film with Kid Cudi and Brittany Snow, and they're playing porn stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need to watch this. But then I realized there was a horror, so I was like, no thanks. But then I was like, oh, this is annoying. I should watch like just those scenes. And then I don't have to because I've seen them.
You are welcome.
I do love. I was a bit upset by the mustache on Kid Cudi. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's not. Well, I think it's the hottest.
No.
But I do love Kid Cudi, and I do love Brittany Snow. So I'll take it.
Yeah. And it was great to see them. Like, it's great to see her in another role. I really like Brittany Snow. I have a massive crush on her.
Yeah, no, she's really cool and she's really pretty and it was weird because I've only ever seen her in very like quite vanilla stuff.
Yeah.
So I was a bit took me a second to be like, oh my God, what? I am shocked to my very core. She knows what an orgasm is. What? Like, I think I just put stuff on people when they're just doing like, because I've seen her in like CW stuff and um, a couple of films where she's like the craziest thing she does is smoke weed. Like, I mean, it's not, yeah, not that vibe. So I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But yeah, I'm into it. They're really good actors. I guess most of the sex scenes that I've seen were in the porn, so that's kind of like a boogie night situation.
Yes.
I think there's one when they're in a corridor. Is that like they're actually having sex there, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, that's part of the porn movie.
Oh, okay, so that's still not true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, I think we see it through the camera after.
Yeah. So there's like 3 porn movies that are being shot. With the one with the the one who was in You.
Yes.
What did
Which, by the way, I was like, I know she's actually 20, so she was like completely a normal age, whatever. But in You, because she looks really young.
Yeah.
And in You, she plays like a 15-year-old or whatever. I was like, why the fuck is she working on a porn set? I had to literally Google the actress's age to like reassure myself. Yes, what do I think?
Well, what do you think the way it was shot and everything kind of inform you about who she is in the movie?
Is she the one who kills them?
No.
Ah, okay, because to me that's what it felt like.
Oh, interesting.
Because she seems to be like jealous of the girls. And like, I thought she was gonna kill people.
Interesting. So no,
Okay.
she doesn't. But she actually was on the porn shoot because she was the sound designer. So she was the one doing the sound, and she was the boyfriend of the guy filming. And then they're all having a conversation after like they've done Britney Snow's and the other girls' porn like shoots, and she's like, I want to be in a scene. Like she seems really, really like pious and like, oh god, this is disgusting, this is immoral. And then she's like, I want to be in a sex scene, and her boyfriend's like, no, gets really upset, but then ends up filming her doing it with Kid Cudi.
Oh wow, did you send me this?
Yeah.
Oh,
But I don't think you see the whole thing. You see it through the lens of the camera.
Oh, was that her? Okay, I thought it was what's her name? Like Mia Goth is that her name? The other actress?
The one with the green eyeshadow.
I'm not sure. Well, anyway, I believe you. That's all that matters.
But I think it's really interesting the way it's shot because you really see it from his perspective, and in the movie he's so distraught that like after he's filmed that, he's in the shower and he like breaks down in the shower like crying.
Why?
Because he didn't want his girlfriend to
So that's not Kid Cudi. You're not talking about Kid Cudi right now.
No, sorry.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
the guy who films
the boyfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the boyfriend.
I was like, why is Kid Cudi so distraught? Because in the scene that you sent me where it's like him and Brittany Snow after one of their sex scenes, like he needs a bit of he's a bit cocky, and then she kind of takes him down the peg, and then he needs a bit of reassurance, I think. So I was like, maybe that's related to him. He just doesn't think he performs well enough. He's having a breakdown in the shower.
I mean, no, I really did. I enjoyed that scene. Like, even though it wasn't a sex scene, I was like, I still feel like I want to send it to you.
Yeah, also she's naked, like faking an orgasm, and say that that's not a completely non-sex scene either.
Exactly. And then what did you think of the old people?
Okay, so why? Who are they?
So they are the people that this group of people have come out to somewhere, I think it's in Texas, to film this like farmer's daughter porn shoot. And they go to this farm, and that's the farm owners. That's the husband and the wife of the farm owner, and the wife is really horny. And he just keeps rejecting her, being like, what about my heart? My heart's gonna like conk out. So she gets really upset.
Right. So, you know the scene where she's watching through the window and Kid Cudi is having sex with a girl and then, like, it keeps on, like, swapping with her face? That's the girl that I'm talking about, Mia Goth.
Oh, right.
Is she killing people?
Mia Goth is in the one who's, like, the one, again, with the green
The
eyeshadow.
young one, yeah.
No.
Okay, all the girls that I thought were killing people are not killing people.
No, it is the old lady. And
oh, is she the one who's killing people?
she's the one who starts it off, and then the guy, the husband, helps her kill people as well.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
During that entire sex scene, obviously I've already said your face was in all of them because of your reflection. But in that particular sex scene, she's got her boobs out, and your hand holding your phone was exactly on, like, her boob. And because it's kind of transparent and it's a horror film, I was like, I didn't pick up on the fact it was your hand at first, and I was like, oh, this is some kind of weird ghost thing. And then I was like, wait a second, I'm pretty sure I can see Jesse's eyes as well. I think this is Jesse's hand, but I fully thought it was in the film for like a good 2 minutes.
Funny. That's so funny. I love that. But yeah.
So do they all die? Kid Cudi dies.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does Brittany Snow die?
Yeah.
That's very sad.
Yeah. They all die except for Mia Goth.
Okay.
Including the old man and the old woman as well.
Oh, do they die as well? Does Mia Goth kill them?
Yeah. I don't like slasher movies. Personally, I find them boring because it just, you know what's going to happen. You know people are going to die.
Yeah.
You know they're going to get killed by creepy people. And it just, I was kind of expecting something a bit different. And like, I think the only thing that was different was like, one, the old lady was the one that started the killing and she was super horny. And two, like the women didn't die first. All the men died before any of the women died.
Right.
But besides that, it was just kind of boring, and I was expecting something a little bit different. There were some really beautiful shots though, like really, really well shot.
It's shot very nicely, for sure.
Yeah.
And like, I guess because it's like is it set in the 70s?
Yes.
Yeah, so like I think you can tell, and it's quite nice.
Cool. So on to our next one, which is one people may not have heard of, which is a film called Tormented, which was a 2009 film directed by John Wright. Again.
Yeah, which by the way, I did look up who made this film because I was like, is it an English horror? I feel like that's a bit more rare. And when it said John Wright, I was like, John Wright who made Atonement and Pride and Prejudice. And I looked up and it's not him because it's Joe Wright, but they literally have like almost exactly the same name. And I was so confused. I was like, wait,
so
this
funny.
is insane.
That's so funny if it was the same person.
That would have been, yeah, that like going from Anna Karenina to Tormented, I would have fully been up for that.
Yeah. But this was written, so this film was in like the Skins era. So this was like a Skins era.
Oh, that's the one that you said is kind of like Skins horror, right?
It's like a Skins kind of, horror, which it even has like April, who's
yes.
Michelle.
Yeah.
And it also has the actress who plays Jal in it as
okay.
well.
Oh,
but
right,
the
entire cast.
Yeah, well, two. And then
so famously, the entire cast of Skins, two people.
And there's also Alex Pettyfer, who was like,
yeah, I know.
in it, and
it's just I'm just saying, yeah, I know, because I only have 2 notes about this film, and one of them is I have no clue what's going on. Period. Alex Pettyfer.
I was really worried that like that my reflection was too much in these, and you wouldn't be able to see anything.
No, I could kind of see, but I think it's just the way it's shot. Like the first sex scene, I was like, is this a music video?
Yeah.
It felt very like, and I couldn't really make it. It was for an English film particularly, it felt like a very stylized American way of shooting the sex scenes. And like, I actually thought the sex scenes were fairly hot, like especially the one the second one that you sent me, like
Yeah.
the one where it's Alex Pettyfer and the girl. Yeah, because I don't think is the first one Alex Pettyfer.
No,
Yeah.
well, he kind of like storms in.
Oh yeah, because he scares it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had to be
But,
like, there's a puts on a mask, but it's a prank. There's no horror.
Yeah, I appreciate that you always like told me what to look out for. But yeah, I feel like that's not really like, especially for something that was like kind of a Skins vibe. Like the sex scenes are so very not like that because they're like they're not grim at all. They're quite like sexy and whatever. But the way they're shot, well, it's not the way they're shot. It's just that I'm like, well, this is just people having sex. They seem to be enjoying it. I don't really know much about the film really.
No, it's very true that you don't really know much about the film, about the characters even. Like, I think the only thing that you can really maybe gauge is like from Alex Pettyfer and like Michelle's sex.
Because the other films, obviously it's always just the sex scenes, and you know, I'm not gonna get like what the whole story is, but they all have a creepy element to them. Like even the one in X, which are a bit less creepy, I'd say, than the one in Midsummer, for example. Like, for example, they're still like the way they're shooting, which obviously I got completely wrong, but the way they're shooting the girl from You, the way that, which is called Jenna something, I can't actually remember her name, the way they're filming like Mia Goth, the fact that there's like the face swap between the old lady and like, it's like, oh, okay, there's something off going on. It makes you feel like there's a bit of suspense. They're trying to draw your attention somewhere else. And like the first one, thingy, Hostel, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Like, again, the girls looking at each other, you're like clocking that something's odd. Whereas this one, I was like, this is just a sex scene from a comedy. Like, this is nothing, there's nothing spooky going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the only spooky thing is like really you've got I can't remember the name of there's like basically a kid has killed himself at the school and he's like trying to take revenge on these popular kids who are so fucking stereotypical. Like it's no one would be like this. This whole movie is like an adult writing teenagers who has no idea what teenagers are really like.
Right.
Which is why
because you sent me that, like, whose bedroom looks like this, and it's just like, full of naked girls. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And I even like that scene that I sent you where it's not a sex scene but they're talking about the sex.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, really ridiculous, over the top, like.
Yeah. And even Alex Pettyfer's character, he's so much of a villain that you're like yeah, like you're like, no one is actually like this in real life. Like
does he kill people?
He doesn't kill. No, it's the dead boy, like the dead kid, who's coming back to like seek revenge.
The dead kid comes back to kill people, right? Okay, so it's a supernatural horror film.
Kind of. I don't think it's really explained. I only really watched it insofar as I knew. Like I rewatched it. And then I got to like the last sex scene and I was like, I don't want to watch more of this movie.
Fair.
But I have seen it all the way through before because I remember when my sister and I watched it and like it was one of the sex scenes. I think it was one with Alex Pettyfer in April and my mum just like walked in on us watching it and we were like, it's a movie! We promise a horror!
Yeah, because they're quite long as well. Like they're quite like... But they're not explicit like the other ones.
Yeah. But do you also notice that the use of condoms?
Yes.
It felt like such a PSA for like, kids have protected sex.
It's okay to kill people, but not to impregnate them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to add that one just because I was like, it was just the condoms that got me the first time I watched it. But it wasn't nearly as sexy as I remember it being, but I think that was just because I watched it.
No, I know what you mean. I would have thought it was sexy if I were a teenager.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, like not Pippa Middleton, the actress with the short hair.
Pippa Middleton is Kate Middleton's sister.
I know, but she's got a similar name. It's like a very it's a very posh name, Tuppence Middleton.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But she's in like a lot of stuff like recently, and yeah, it's like the whole thing is she's like the head girl and then the guy that she has sex with is part of like the popular crew, and he's like really fancied her, and then suddenly she's in with the popular kids and like forgets her best friend, her like straight friends, and it's like tries to be a teenage high school drama in between a horror,
Right.
and fails to do either.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. All right. And our final one on this list is Antichrist.
I don't even want to talk about them. I'm so upset. I've just watched them, like, because you sent them to me today, and I've not had time to watch them until like literally 10 minutes before jumping on, and I've not processed them yet. Also, not that like this is a bit boring, but I actually went to Charlotte Gainsbourg's house once and interviewed her,
Oh, no way.
and I don't want to see her like this. She was very nice. I just want to think of her as the nice lady who gave me a glass of water. Now, I have seen Nymphomaniac by Lars von Trier before, so
Okay.
I've already seen more than I wanted to.
Yeah. So then you know a Lars von Trier kind
Yeah.
of. Oh, because yeah, this is directed by Lars von Trier.
Yes. Yeah, that's very like he does not make me want sex ever in life.
No. Yeah.
But I didn't know it was Willem Dafoe, and that really upset me.
You didn't
'Cause
what?
I didn't know it was Willem Dafoe in it with her, and that really, really, really upset me to my core because I really like Willem Dafoe, but I don't see him like this either. Like they're not people I want to see having sex for many reasons, and it's just so upsetting. I had to Google while I was like getting on the Zoom call. I had to Google whether it was actually his body or not, and I'm so glad it's not.
No, it's
Thank
porn
God,
actors.
because this is too upsetting to me. So I can only accept life again because I know it's not them.
So, for those who haven't had the pleasure of watching this movie, the opening scene is of Willem Dafoe and I can't remember the actress's name.
Charlotte Gainsbourg.
Yeah, say that again.
Charlotte Gainsbourg.
Charlotte. Okay, Willem Dafoe and Charlotte having sex, and it's in slow motion with a very ethereal song, and you see the penis go in the vagina.
It's a porn. It's porn. It's
Yeah.
actual porn. That we did an entire episode on what's the difference between porn and sex scenes, and that is porn,
Yeah.
which is totally fine. I just don't want to see Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg doing porn because I feel like I don't know, Willem Dafoe is like has been in loads of things. I watch him all the time in American Psycho. It feels quite familiar. I'm just not. No.
But yeah, don't worry, it's not Itchy Him, it was porn actors.
Thank God.
Yeah. But what I cut out of that scene was as they are having sex, their little kid, who's like 3 or 4 years old, gets himself out of his little pen, climbs up onto the window, and jumps out of the window.
I actually knew this because I remember when the film came out, everyone was talking about it in France.
Okay. Yeah. I could have left that in then.
No, I don't want to see it. But does she... So, because I knew this, I kind of thought... When she goes outside and she, like, masturbates, is that, like, where he died?
No.
Oh, okay, because I thought it was
So
that.
Willem Dafoe is like her therapist as well as her partner.
Like, it's classic Lars.
Exactly, such healthy relationships. And he's like, takes her out of hospital like 2 weeks after she's in hospital or something. And then he's like, you need to get over your fear. Where else are you scared of? And she's like, this forest. So then they go to like this cabin in this forest, and it's that forest where she like masturbates furiously, and then they have
Yeah, like, furiously. I was like, chafing.
Yes. I was like, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. And then they have sex up against the tree, and like the whole time she's just like kind of mentally ill / on the verge of like Satanism. I can't really remember it. I had to watch a video about just explaining it because I was like, I am not watching this movie again. I watched it once and I blanked out my memory. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very obvious from the sex scenes that this is not a healthy couple. These are not healthy people who are not happy in their lives. Like, that's very, very obvious. Like, the sex scenes are so long, they're so graphic, they are not hot because they just feel like the weight of the universe is on them. Like, it just...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's they're going through the grief of their son, and I think that does a really good job of, like, even though the sex scenes are gross, graphic, and not comfortable, it does a really good job of fitting in with the actual tone of the movie and what the characters are going through, and just like their struggle with each other and how like bad their relationship is.
Yeah.
And like the bit that I also cut out because I was like, there's a tiny bit of a sex scene and then it's too graphic for even me to watch this, is she start like towards the end, she gets his hand because she's like she like stakes his hand and whatnot, and she gets his hand to like masturbate her. And then in her flashbacks, it goes back to the beginning scene where while they were having sex, she actually saw her son and could have stopped him, but didn't because she was enjoying the sex too much. So she's like, oh, this is like because of me and my sexuality. This is the reason that my son died. So she starts masturbating and then she cuts off her clit.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not watching that film. Not that I was going to, but yeah, no.
My problem with Lars von Trier is just like, there's being weird for like a purpose of a movie, but I just feel like he's just being weird for weird's sake. And I just don't get it, but it's not a type of horror that I enjoy. Like, I quite like the kind of weird ones that are also stylized and have like really good slow build-ups, but not this one, not for me. Yeah.
No. So what is the sexiest scene of all of the scenes? Like, not just Antichrist, just all of them.
There's none in Antichrist. I'd have to say from like movie X, there's like,
yeah,
it would be the one with Britney Snow and Kid Cudi.
Same.
Yeah. But I wanted to also do like an honorary, because I was going to send you some from like Friday the 13th and like Hellraiser and stuff like that. Because I feel like in early horror movies, like in the 1980s, it was like sex could be shown, but then like they had to die. So it was like a thing where it was like such a trope that the people who would have sex would be the ones to die, and it would be like the virginal ones could live. So I feel like that's a trope that's been played on throughout the years. And then I also want to give an honorary mention to American Mary, because even though the only scene in that is a rape scene, it's a very sexy movie. Like, I think if you could like horror, you would love American Mary. Like, because it's her, she's in, I think, like studying to be a surgeon, and then she starts taking on these like a job at a strip club, but then ends up having to like stitch someone up, and then ends up giving these like body modifications and gets raped by her tutor, and then she ends up doing all these like body modifications for different people.
Yeah, sounds just like so my vibe.
But no, I'm getting on to the bit that's your vibe. That like the way that she dresses, and like she always has these black latex gloves, and the way that like she dresses very sexily to do these body modifications, and the actress herself is beautiful, and I really enjoy it as a horror. And then just mention for Jennifer's Body. Jennifer's Body is a great fucking horror movie. And the marketing did it a disservice, but I'm glad that it's a cult classic now, because it is such a good horror, even though it doesn't really have many sex scenes. But yeah, I'm really this was mostly me going on about like all the horrors that I really like. But I'm so glad
that's great. I love it.
I'm so glad we finally got to do this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you consider watching a horror movie after watching these?
No, just hearing you telling me about them, I'm like, man, I'm never watching this. Like, no. Don't worry, darling. American Psycho, that's as far as I'm going. Not interested.
None of the sex scenes have enticed you to?
No, not at all. Like, I'm glad I got to see Kid Cudi, Brittany Snow. I can rewatch those. I can pretend this is like the whole film. I can make up my own stories. I'm gonna write fan fiction about this one. It's just like a group of people making porn, like in a nice house. They rent a villa. There's no drama. There's no death. It's gonna be great. Comedy of the year. But yeah, no.
Fair enough.
But I appreciate that now when people talk about horror films, I can be like, oh yeah, it's totally like in hostels. And like when they meet the girls at the spa, and I can pretend like I've seen it and be way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be super cool. And then they'll be like, and they'll talk about one of the death scenes in detail, and you'll be like, oh yeah, definitely know that scene so
No,
well.
I'll be like, yeah, what about when she gets like the fucking thing in her eye, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you told me enough. I can so fake my way into the horror world now.
So beware, everyone. If Anushka starts talking about horrors she's seen, she's lying.
I'm so lying, yes.
She's only seen the sex scenes.
I'm just trying to be cool. What are we gonna talk about next time?
Industry season 2.
Yay, which we have been waiting for. I'm on episode 3 right now, and there's already like 7 sex scenes, so I think we'll have plenty to talk about.
Excellent. Well, it is our favourite of like all the ones that we've done in terms of sex scenes.
In terms of sex scenes, definitely, yeah. It's really raised the bar of like not just the sex scenes, but also everything to do with the flirting and the sexual tension and everything.
Yes, exactly. And telling us so much about the characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Cool. See you next time.
See you next time.
We just wanted to thank Close Up Culture for hosting us, and thank you guys for listening.
If you want to leave us a 5-star review, we'd really, really appreciate it. You can also follow Close Up Culture on Instagram at Close Up Culture, all one word. And you can email us at sexysundaypodcast@gmail.com to let us know your favourite episodes or your favourite sex scenes.
Bye.
Bye.